Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. This is a B1 level business English lesson, and today we're going to be talking about using technology to find a solution and also how to answer questions at the end of a presentation. So we're going to read two opinions about how technology has changed customer service. And which one do you agree with most and why? And you can put your answers in the comments. You can pause the video and read on your own, or you can follow along as I read. Nels says, technology has made things much better for customers. In the past, I had to go to a shop to talk to a customer service representative whenever I had a question or a problem. But now I can do everything with an app on my phone. Delia says, things are definitely worse for customers these days. It's so difficult to get answers to my questions. Nobody ever answers the phone when I call, and chatbots can never properly answer my questions. I just want to talk to a real person. Now we have a few vocabulary words, so you can pause the video, match the words to their definitions, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. Okay, things that you usually do are habits. Expert skill or knowledge is expertise. Happening as a normal part of something is routine. Immediately without waiting is right away. To use machines or computers to do something is to automate. And the order of stages for doing a task is the workflow. Right, now complete the sentences with the words from the boxes, and you may need to change the form of the words. Again, you can pause the video, try this on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. Corona has a degree in engineering, so she has the technical expertise that is necessary to become an engineer. It takes far too long entering all this data manually. We should automate the system as soon as possible. I apologize for the delay, sir. I will fetch your order right away. Please follow the workflow carefully to make sure you don't miss any steps. Checking and replying to emails are some of the routine tasks I complete as part of my workday. And it is important to know our customers' habits so that we can make sure our products meet their needs. So you're going to read about the impact of technology on business, but before reading the article, think about these questions. The article starts with the sentence, in the last decade, technology has changed business in so many ways. So what changes do you think that the article will talk about? And will the article be mainly positive or negative about technology in business? And you can put your ideas in the comments to start some conversation. Okay, now read the article, and which of the ideas at the bottom does it talk about? Again, you can pause the video and read on your own, or you can follow along as I read. The impact of technology on business. In the last decade, technology has changed business in so many ways. First, technology has made it faster, easier, and more efficient than ever to communicate and share information. In addition, technology has made it possible to manage large amounts of data. Second, technology has allowed businesses to learn more about customers and, as a result, design a better, more personalized buying experience. Companies now have access to lots of information about their customers and their buying habits. Although some people don't like companies to know all about their private behavior, this information can be used to suggest items that the customers might like. Third, technology has made it possible to automate communication. Customers want to have a reply to their questions right away. With an automated chatbot, a company can offer 24/7 support without paying any extra money. Although an automated service cannot completely replace a customer service team yet, it can give a customer service team more time to solve more difficult problems. Finally, technology has made it easier to complete routine tasks. When a task doesn't require a lot of thinking but takes a lot of time, it can probably be automated. Although many boring tasks are easy to do, it takes a lot of time that can be better spent doing something else. So they did talk about gathering customer information, automating tasks, smartphone apps, and automating some communication with chatbots. Now decide if these statements are true or false according to the article. Technology makes it easier to manage more data. Well, that's true. Some customers may have privacy concerns due to technology. That's also true. Chatbots can do everything that customer service teams can. That's false. Chatbots can focus on the more difficult problems of customers. That's false. And boring tasks are usually difficult. That's false. They're easy, but they take a lot of time. Now think about the ideas discussed in the article and your own experiences and discuss the questions below. How do you feel about businesses knowing about your private habits and why? Do you prefer talking to chatbots or human customer service representatives and why? Which of your routine tasks would you like to automate? And are there any that you enjoy doing? And you can share your thoughts in the comments. Now, Bolek is preparing to present on technology in business. Read his comment below and then discuss the questions. Technology has made things much better for customers. In the past, I had to go to a shop to talk to a customer service representative whenever I had a question or a problem, but now I can do everything with an app on my phone. So, do you enjoy giving presentations? Why or why not? And how do you feel when people ask questions and why? And you can put your ideas in the comments. All right, we're going to listen to the end of Bolek's presentation and then choose the statement which best describes what happens.
In conclusion, for businesses to grow and compete, they need to focus on building better and more efficient workflows, which means automating as many processes as possible. That's the end of my presentation. Now I'd like to allow some time for questions. Yes, you there in the front.
You mentioned many tools that companies could use to automate processes, but as a company that has never before relied on technology, what would you recommend that I do first?
That's an interesting question. Let me think about that for a second. I think the answer to that question is different for every company. You need to evaluate your business processes and determine the areas that you could save the most time and money by automating. I hope that answers your question. You there in the back.
All right, so choice D, Bolek is asked a question and he answers it after thinking a little first. Okay, we're going to listen again to the end of Bolek's presentation and how does Bolek pause, and we'll complete the conversation.
In conclusion, for businesses to grow and compete, they need to focus on building better and more efficient workflows, which means automating as many processes as possible. That's the end of my presentation. Now I'd like to allow some time for questions. Yes, you there in the front.
You mentioned many tools that companies could use to automate processes, but as a company that has never before relied on technology, what would you recommend that I do first?
That's an interesting question. Let me think about that for a second. I think the answer to that question is different for every company. You need to evaluate your business processes and determine the areas that you could save the most time and money by automating. I hope that answers your question. You there, in the back.
Okay, so he pauses by saying that's an interesting question, and then he says, let me think about that for a second. So if you don't know the answer right off the top of your head, you can use some phrases like that to give yourself a little time to think. Okay, so Bullock is asked two more questions, and does he know the answers? How do you know?
What percentage of online traffic comes from smartphones?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can get back to you with an answer. I would guess it's about 50%, and that's why mobile apps are so important. Okay, next. You there, near the window.
What is your opinion on cybersecurity?
I'm sorry, but that's not really my area of expertise. Henris, would you like to answer that question?
Okay, so he does not know the answers to either of these questions. The first one, he gives a guess. He says, I don't have those figures right off the top of my head, but I would guess. And then the second one, he does not know it all because it's not his area, so he refers it to a colleague who might be able to answer better. Okay, so we'll listen again and just fill in the blanks.
What percentage of online traffic comes from smartphones?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can get back to you with an answer. I would guess it's about 50%, and that's why mobile apps are so important. Okay, next. You there, near the window.
What is your opinion on cybersecurity?
I'm sorry, but that's not really my area of expertise. Henris, would you like to answer that question?
Okay, so again, here are some phrases you can use if you don't know the answer when you're asked at the end of a presentation. All right, so look at the expressions below and you want to put them in the right category. So inviting questions, pausing to think, and if you don't know, and then delaying. So inviting questions, please feel free to stop me at any point for questions. Pausing to think, that's an interesting question. If you don't know, I'm afraid I don't have that information on hand. And delaying, do you mind if we discuss that another time? So now you'll take these statements from the bottom, the expressions from the bottom, and put them into the correct categories. And then when you're ready, restart the video to check your answers. Okay, so number 4, if there is something that you're not clear about, please raise your hand. That goes in inviting questions. Let me think about that for a second. Sorry, could you repeat that question because I don't think everyone heard. And I'm glad that you asked this question. Those would all go under pausing to think. That's a good question. I don't know. What do you think? And calling on another person. I'm sorry, but that's not really my area of expertise, and I'll have to get back to you about that. That goes under the category if you don't know. And I'd be happy to discuss that with you after the talk. And do you mind if we discuss that later? Goes under delaying. All right, so now put the words in the correct order to complete the conversations. So here we've got, can I ask you about the, and then the person responds with, please leave your questions until the end. Do you know how our customers feel about these changes? I'm glad that you are raising this point. What impact will this have on our European store? Unfortunately, I'm not the best person to answer that question. How much would it cost? Actually, I will discuss that later in the presentation. So imagine that you've just finished giving a presentation on a new computer system your company is going to use. Invite questions from the audience, and if you don't know the answer, try some of the phrases from earlier in the lesson. We can try this maybe in the comments if some people would like to maybe pose some questions, and then you can try to answer them as best you can using some of these expressions. Or you can write a dialogue, an imaginary dialogue between the presenter and the questioner for other ways to practice this skill. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, participate in the comments, follow me on social media, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.